Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're going to be playing Speckled Knights. Now, the way that I actually pick puzzles means that it'd be an interesting way if it actually gives me a summary of the number of tabs I have open. But if I just do a quick count, that's 5, that's probably 10, that's 15, that's 20, that's probably 25 different tabs that I have open of different puzzles. I basically take a look at what's around, queue them up, and this one has been in the queue for almost 9 months, so I'm so sorry to the constructor sdholmes, as this is probably a puzzle that needed to be featured much longer ago. As of the time of recording, it's only got a few hundred solves, so I'm fairly sure that if you guys, well, looks like it's going to be fantastic, even just looking at the rule set. So if you guys can help, that would get us well above 1,000 and hopefully beyond. Anyway, Speckled Knights kind of almost feels like we're talking about Mosaic Knights, which is essentially what you see Sleuth is doing here, exploring some kind of burial ground, I'm guessing, given the torch in his hand, and going around and actually admiring all of this old mosaic. Anyway, let's take a look at today's puzzle and rule set with Speckled Knights by sdholmes. So we're talking about normal Sudoku, anti-knight, diagonals, and oh wow, sorry, I kind of missed the diagonals when I was actually entering the rules, so I am going to put them on a separate line. So diagonals, palindrome, and then little killer clues. And if you know what all of that means, feel free to skip ahead. Link in the description down below for you to play. On the off chance that you're not familiar with all of these rules, quick walkthrough of what they are. Normal Sudoku, place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row. Every column, of course, every 3x3 box, so nothing unusual about that. Now, if this cell is a 2, let's talk about anti-knight first. Normal Sudoku would says not in the same column, not in the same row, not in the same box, so none of these could be a 2. Anti-knight would say anything that is chess knight's move away can also not be a 2. The chess knight is this L move of sort of 2 steps forward, 1 step to the side, or 1 step to the side, 2 steps forward. Essentially this cell, this cell, this cell, that one, yep, all of these don't work. They cannot be 2 either. So very, very powerful constraint. Second one is, of course, the diagonals. So I've deliberately placed the 2 in here. You can see there are 2 blue lines that are crossing the 2 diagonals, the positive and negative one. And essentially that 2 means nothing else can be a 2 on these 2 diagonals. So all of this now can no longer be a 2. So now we're definitely going to pay attention to that square later on. Right, what else do we have? Palindromes, of course. So essentially the way to think about this is these lines have to read the same forwards and backwards. So that means the first 2 cells on either side would be the same digit. Let's call it A. Next one along will be the same digit. Call it B. These 2 will be the same, call it C. And we clearly have some very splendid construction here from sdholmes to help us along with the solution. Then last but not least, clues outside the grid, the digits along the indicated diagonal. So these 3 cells must add up to 17. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cells must add up to 28, 11, and then 18, and then we've got a very long diagonal here of 6 cells that must be 29. So, as always, to play along, link in the description down below for you to do so. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock, and I just noticed it's just absolutely not recording. I'm so sorry about that. I'm not going to redo the intro. A bit cheeky, I know. Like, very cheeky, frankly, but I am going to just carry on. Kind of my fault for not double checking that it's all recording. So hang on, just before I restart, that all looks good. And if I change it, that all looks good. Right, so restart the clock, see how I get on. Oh, I've already restarted that. Right. If any of my intro made sense, I think the palindromes are going to be very interesting. And I have deliberately switched to letters already, thinking that these 2 cells are going to be the same, A. I know this is different, that's B, that's B, that's C, that's C. Right, let's think about what all of this is telling us. A's can't be in any of these cells, can't be these cells. Knight move can't be these two. That's my next A. The palindrome tells me that's another A. B has to be in one of these three cells. Can't be that one because of the knight move, so it's one of these two. C has to be down here. And it can't be this cell, otherwise it would repeat. So it has to be this cell on this palindrome, and this is C. Does that B conflict? It doesn't. Right. We can keep going, however. This cell is going to be D. We know it's not B. We know it's not A. We know it's not C. We know it's a different number / digit. So that's going to be D. And then D is in one of these three cells. Again, not that one because of knight move. This one is also appearingly not conflicting. Okay. So this cell could be D or E. Let's kind of think through what's going on if it's E. If it is E, it's actually quite powerful. It's saying these cells are not E, Sudoku. These cells are not E, anti-knight. And then palindrome is saying E, and I've broken the puzzle. Fantastic. Essentially, no place for E left, and therefore it has to be one of the ones we've already placed. It has to essentially be B or D. It's clearly not B. So that's D, that's D. I'm guessing the symmetry is telling us that this is going to be the same. Let's try again, E and E. So no with Sudoku, no with anti-knight, no with Sudoku after the palindrome. So again, that can't be E, that is a B. Excellent. This cell is definitely new. It's not A, B, C, or D. So that's E. Oh, sorry, I've forgotten about the palindrome for a second. So, okay, no E's in any of these. E is now up here. E is down there. And I'm guessing symmetry again will be doing the same thing in that this is clearly not E. And it's going to be E, F, and therefore F will be up here. Of course, that was B if I paid attention. And then the F is eliminated from all of these cells, and then F is down there. F is in here, just like E is in there. Interesting. I'm tempted to think about these two palindromes next. So we've got A, B, C, D, E, F. There's, of course, G, H, and I left to fit everything. So we know that this is not E, otherwise it would conflict in the box. It can certainly seemingly be F. Sorry, thinking. This cell, just anti-knight, is going to be quite interesting. We know it's G, H, or I, and then it eliminates all of these cells with Sudoku, this cell with anti-knight move, this cell with anti-knight move. So I'm actually tempted to just pick a random letter from the remaining ones. This is G, and therefore none of these are G, and therefore G is up here, forcing E there. And I'm guessing the same could be done here. It's just a challenge, of course. Oh yeah, this is not G. So this is going to be H or I. Again, pick at random. It's going to be H. These are not H's because of knight move. That's an H. That's an F. And the last letter in box 5 is I. Fantastic. So we're left with kind of E and G to complete this row. And then this is an I. Then we're left with, I'm going to say F and H to complete that box. And this one will be I. Right, let's come back to the palindromes. What is this cell? We have established it is not A, it is not B, it's not C, it's not D. It is not E because the palindrome would conflict. It could be F, no F. And it's not I and it's not G. It cannot be H either because it would conflict with the palindrome. So it is definitely F, and it helps us resolve. This is a beautiful puzzle in terms of construction. I'm guessing this is going to be G. Let me just double check. Not A, not B, not C, not D. We said it could be E, probably is E. Not F because we'd conflict here. Not G, not H, not I. It is E, that's G, that's E, and then the palindrome gives us another letter with E again. Fantastic. We can probably think about the diagonals now. We haven't thought about them like at all. Literally at all. What do we know about these? They are seemingly A, B, C, D. This is not B or D. This is not B or D, so that's an AC pair. Therefore, this is not A or C. Just looking at essentially what are the missing letters from the diagonal, we know that it has to have every one of these 9 letters. And then we've got BD, BD. Looking at that, it doesn't look quite as clean, if I'm honest, on this side, given we only have 3 rather than 6 letters. Not 6, excuse me, 5. So we only have 3 rather than 5, so 6 letters. There is actually some interesting things in terms of geometry. So this A sees this cell with Sudoku, sees this cell with anti-knight move, sees this cell with anti-knight move. And then A here sees this cell with Sudoku, this one with anti-knight move. Where is A on this diagonal? Can only be in here. And then the C has the same kind of play. No, no, C. Doesn't help me resolve these. It's fine. It's fine. But it does make this diagonal now more interesting given we've got 5 letters. So the remaining ones, which includes B and D, mind you, they're missing. And we know that B and D we've spotted earlier is not these 2 cells. So that's a BD pair. Left with, I'm going to say a GH pair to complete the diagonal. And that's the diagonals kind of, I don't want to use the word resolve because obviously a lot of it is still pencil marked. We should probably double check that none of them are resolved. Doesn't look it. Bit disappointing. Let's do some simple Sudoku. Look at E, for example, in this box. It's none of these. It's not that. E. None of these. E. None of these. E. Done. So we've gone A, B, C, D. We've done E. So presumably F has a very similar setup on this end. Yeah, no Fs. Yeah, no F, F, and that's 9 Fs. Now, G and H are a bit more challenging. I, which you remember, well, you didn't see because it didn't record, which you would have seen if it did record, does block a huge swathe of the grid when you place it in the center, given the diagonals as well. But frankly, it feels a little bit less exciting right now. None of these, one of these 2 cells. Yeah, a lot less exciting. How about A? Can I do better? One of these 2 is an A. No A, no A. Oh, duh. C, A. That's helpful. No A's is an A. Has to be an A now in here. And these 2, that's an A. I think we're going to have it all in a second, actually. And then anti-knight move, A. And then, yeah, that's 9A. So C can't be that far off. It's one of these 2, and it's not that one. C. None of these. C. And it's somewhere in here. C. That's C done. Right. So BD, GHI. I'm just looking for any shortcuts, basically, rather than just doing a whole bunch of pencil marks at random. Like I'm taking a look, for example, at column 7, which has BD and I left. But I really can't identify anything that I can remove. Like this cell is not D, but it could be B or I, so not very exciting. And then up here, it could be any of them. I'm guessing down there, it's not B, it's D or I. Again, it could be any of them here. Oh, it's not any of them because of the I's that we spotted earlier. So that is not true. So this is not I, this is BD, this is I. And I'm guessing, had I paid attention, no I. Yep, so that's BD, therefore that's I. Then in the row now, we've got GH and B, not the drug. BD pair, GHI, not I, GH. It is GH, which means this is B or D, isn't it? I think so. Because I've got a BD pair, we know that's not an I, so I end up with a GH pair, that's BD, that's GH. BD pair, that's GH. Back to GHI, not very useful. GH pair, that's a D because I've already got the B. These are very hard to spot, but that's frankly normally the case when it comes to, and then the diagonal, of course, that B gives me D, B, D, B. I should be able to finish, yeah, B. That's all the B's now. That's not D. These are not D. That's D. And that's all the D's. So all of the rest are G, H, and I. That is GH. That is not an I. So that's GH. That is an I. That's another GH. GH. I should be able to eliminate another I like I did on this side somehow. Yep, the I pair, of course, which I keep ignoring. GH. And then I. GH. Can I resolve this? Is a question. I may end up just coloring them to double check if I can or cannot. I'm not sure it's going to help me here. So these are essentially G, H, or I, except, I mean, not H, so G or I. And this one is not G, so H or I. But like I'm not seeing the anti-knight move that is essentially going to help me resolve it, sadly. And let's just double check. Colors, blue, red, of course, go to the diagonal, blue, red, blue, and therefore Sudoku says blue, red, red, blue, red. And it says one of these is blue, and you can see blue is like extraordinarily far away. And then one of these is red. And H and G, just highlighting them to help a bit. Not that it does. Yeah, the blue and reds. Ouch. So we're going to have to use the little killer clues to try and distinguish what is going on. This is definitely going to be tricky now. I was hoping for a kind of easier path where all the letters are done and then we're just doing a few simple linear equations. So GH and E is equal to 17. F and GH is equal to 11. So the difference between F and E is 6, which is a decent distance. Essentially, if I have one of them as 1, the next one is 7. But it has 2 degrees of freedom. Because, of course, it could be 3, and then the other one is 9. And remember, it's exactly 6. It's not like 6 or more. It's exactly 6. Let's have a look if the F's are in any other diagonal. Nope. Well, the 28. I mean, the E's can't be that big. So, yeah, that's definitely put a constraint. Because I have 3 E's. If they were 9s, essentially, if this was 1, 2, 3, remember, this is 7, 8, 9. 9 would make this already 27, plus 3, that's 30, plus A. So that's just not credible. Now, if it was 8, that would be 24 plus 2, that's 26. Plus A, which is, remember, unique, because if F is 2, E is 6 more, 8, so 24, 26, and then the difference between them, 28 and 26, is 2 again, and then I've broken the puzzle. So E is exactly 7, F is exactly 1, G and H add up to 10, but I can actually figure out what A is now because I've got 3 7s, that's 21, that's 22. Difference between them now, 28 and 22 is 6. So A is 6, which is very helpful. How do I get to 10 without 1 9, without 4 6, without 3 7? These are 2 8. Obviously, I don't know which is which just yet, but I'm guessing the other diagonals help. So let's just keep track of the diagonals that we've kind of used. So the 11, sort of done. The 17, sort of done. And the 28, like definitely done. So the one we have to now consider is the 29, where it has a ton of other numbers. I'm losing track. So we've used 1, 6, 7, 2, and 8. But notice I have G and an H or an I. Let's just do some quick maths right now. So we've got 12, got 19. So the remaining cells have to be 10. Now, if this is H, I've broken it because we know G and H add up to exactly 10. And then there's another letter, which is not 0. So we would bust the 29. So this has to be I, which gives me essentially at least that part done. I'm so sorry. What did I do wrong there? That's I. Oh yeah, that's I now. Not G. Bad pencil marks. Bad pencil marks. And therefore H. And then that's going to help me resolve the rest. So essentially G is blue, H is red. Then I can just go around quickly, replace these with H, place these with blues, G's, H's, and then we know that's correct now. Now let's try and make 29 work one more time. So the thing is, we know that we already know which one is 8 and which one is 2. So let me explain that. I have 12, 7, that's 19. These 3 cells add up to 10. Now we've established if this is H, these 2 would have added up to 10, and therefore that's why we got an I. And there's a gap, essentially, between the I and the H, which is the D. Given G and H would add up to 10, but D, G, and I add up to 10, it stands to reason that D and I is exactly equal to H. I hope that made sense. Now, we know that G and H are 2 and 8. Now, if the H was 2, I'm not going to get these 2 letters to add up to 2. So H, which helpfully is red, is the bigger of these with an 8. G is the smaller of these with a 2. And then to get to 8, we have 3 and 5, which are the remaining numbers, don't we? To get to 8. No, I still have a number of... Right, how do you get to 8? Well, it's not 1 7, it's not 2 6. So whatever it was, 3 and 5, D and I are 3 and 5, which leaves me with C, which is a 9. And then let's just double check our maths again. We haven't actually looked at the 18 at all. That's my mistake. So these two cells are 8. I've broken the puzzle. How did I break the puzzle? 12, 19, 21, 19 and 21. These two add up to 8. I have 3, 5, and 8. Dear, oh dear. What? This was going so well. Yeah, that's 17. That's that. 14, 21, 22, 28. That's still correct. I've just totally ignored this, which wasn't smart. Somehow I didn't see it at all. Now the 2 and 8, was that forced? I said they have to add up to 10, and I said it wasn't 1, 9, wasn't 3, 7, wasn't 4, 6. So the 2, 8 was forced as well, leaving me with 3, 5, and 9. Huh. I don't understand. And like for the avoidance of doubt, if C was 9, I would already be at 18 and have broken this little killer clue because I'm not dealing with zeros. $12. Am I adding up the right diagonal? Fairly sure I am. So 23, 21, minus 13, 8 between these two. So that is 3 and 5. So I'm drinking coffee. Hopefully the caffeine will wake me up a bit and figure out how I broke it. So I'm going to trust that my Sudoku and anti-knight wasn't incorrect. And I'm going to just rewind back to just purely letters for a second. Okay. Let's try that one more time. Sorry about that. So we said the difference between E and F is exactly 6, which is the difference between the 17 and the 11. Because these two cells, which are common, will add up to something. And then plus F is 11, plus E is 17. So there's a difference between these of exactly 6. Which means it's either 1 and 7, 2 and 8, or 3 and 9. There's only 3 possible options. Then I started to look at the 28, where I spotted that I have 3 E's. Totally sensible. Like I'm not sure I see what the mistake is here. But that immediately tells me they can't be 9s. Because if they are 9s, I'm at 27, plus the F, which is 6 away, that's 3, that's 30, plus A, I've busted the 28. So 9, off the table immediately. 8 would be 24, 3 times 8. I am definitely selecting the right diagonal. So that is correct in that 8 would be 3 times 8 is 24. Difference of 6 means that would be 26. And then another difference of 6, sorry, as in 28 minus 26, that would put another 2. But I can't, I've already used the 2. So I just don't see how you can avoid, unless I've made this earlier mistake, the 7 and the 1. And then, of course, because this is 7, that immediately tells me that's 17, 1. So G and H have to add up to exactly 10. And we know because we used the 1, it's not 1, 9, and we've used the 7, it's not 3, 7. So right now it's 2, 8 or 4, 6. But we have 21, 22. To get to 28, this has to be 6. And therefore, these have to be 2 and 8. Pretty logical. Then we're in trouble if this is H. We know it's not G, it's H or I. Because, actually G gave me H here. I just noticed this. Goodness, why did I make this hard on myself? H, G, H, G, H, G, G, H, H gave me I, gave me G, gave me H, gave me G. That was actually done anyhow. Oh, yeah, my pencil mark's letting me down. That was I, that was H. So anti-knight was to the rescue. I didn't have to complicate it. I still have line of sight of 12 and 7, 19, meaning these 3 cells add up to 10. And we've said G and H have to be 2 and 8. Well, if this is the 8, I can't see how 2 letters will add up to 2. So the G has to be the 2, the H has to be the 8. And then these 2 letters add up to 8 with 3 and 5. The only thing that seems to be breaking it is this 18 killer cage. And I don't understand how or why. Something's not adding up. And it's got to be my broken Sudoku. No. Sorry, what was B? I totally forgot about the 4. So sorry. So C is 4. Then suddenly this is 8. These 2 are 10. So the I is the 5. The D is the 3. And then the B is the 9. Whoops. Well, that's 5 minutes none of us are going to get back in our lives. Because I think I got this far in 23 minutes. And then I spent 5 minutes revisiting everything, not realizing that the 4 was left remaining all along. Be kind in the comments is all I'm going to say. Messing up the start of the recording and then not seeing whatever it was. This cell, kind of eliminating the anti-knight. And I'm happy that I got so far and then forgetting about the 4. Anyhow, doesn't matter. I hope you guys had a smoother solve than I did. And let me know how you got on in the comments and I'll see you back soon. Bye-bye for now.